For the first few days, Yasin played Surah Al-Baqarah. Every evening, he and Ilah prayed together. They left Quran audio running in the kids' room. No more whispers, no more smells, peace almost, until the fifth night. It started with a dream, not a nightmare. It was warm, familiar. Yasin was sitting by a river. The sun was low. Orange light kissed the surface of the water. Across from him sat someone he hadn't seen in 20 years. His childhood best friend, Samir. Samir, who drowned in the lake when they were kids. Samir, whose body was never found. He looked just as Yasin remembered. Same crooked smile, same chipped front tooth. Samir leaned forward and said softly, "You remember when we were boys? We used to talk to things no one else could see." Yasin froze. "You still have the gift," Samir said, smiling. "They haven't forgotten you. One of them still remembers your name. She says you used to listen. She wants you to listen again." Yasin tried to speak, but the river behind Samir suddenly rushed backward, flowing uphill. Then Samir's eyes turned pitch black, and he whispered, "Don't wake up." Yasin gasped awake, soaked in sweat, heart pounding like a drum. He looked over. Ilah and the kids were fast asleep. He got up, walked to the bathroom, but when he looked in the mirror, his reflection didn't move right. It blinked a full second after he did, then smiled on its own. The next day, Yasin visited the Imam again. He sat down slowly and said, "Why would a jinn pretend to be someone I loved?" The Imam's face was serious. "Because jinn feed off memory, emotion, attachment. It's like currency to them." He paused. "Do you know the concept of qareen?" Yasin nodded faintly. "The companion jinn we all have?" "Yes, but not all qareen are passive. Some get stronger if we live heedlessly. If we ignore a lot. If we play with things we shouldn't." He looked directly into Yasin's eyes. "You may have had a door open since childhood. Someone around you may have allowed it." Yasin whispered, "My uncle." The Imam nodded. "Possibly. And now it's your test." Yasin tried to hold firm, but he kept having the dream. Samir kept returning, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, sometimes screaming, and always whispering things no one could know. "You cried under the staircase when your father hit you. You buried that note Ilah wrote you in the 6th grade. You think your faith is strong, but you haven't cried in prayer for years." Yasin broke. One night he snapped and yelled, "What do you want from me?" And from the shadows of his bedroom, a voice calmly answered, "Only to listen like you used to." That was the night he saw her, the girl in the corner. Long hair covering her face, hands folded, pale, just sitting. He didn't scream. He couldn't. He just stared, frozen. Then she slowly lifted her head, and he saw his mother's face before she disappeared. The next morning, Yasin called the Imam and begged, "Do the ruqyah, please. I'm ready." The Imam arrived that afternoon with another sheikh. They set up a small room with Quran recitation, olive oil and ruqyah water. Yasin sat in the center. They began Surah Al-Fatiha, Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, Al-Falaq, and Nas. At first, Yasin just felt heat, pressure in his chest, a rising weight behind his eyes. Then he began to sway. His hands trembled, and a low, broken voice escaped his throat. "She said you'd betray me." It wasn't his voice. Ilah ran out, crying. The Imam continued louder, firmer. Yasin screamed. Then everything went dark. Yasin woke up 3 hours later, surrounded by Quran pages. The Imam reciting softly beside him. His throat felt raw. His limbs were heavy. He didn't remember what happened. But the Imam looked relieved. Alhamdulillah, it was her last attempt. Who was she? Yasin rasped. The Imam was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "A jinn once enslaved by your uncle. She wasn't just summoned. She was bound, forced into servitude using verses torn out of context and black magic. But when your uncle died, the bond was never closed. So she remained trapped in this place, trapped in your bloodline." Yasin whispered, "Why me? You are the weak link in their chain, but also the only one who can break it." That night, Yasin slept deeply for the first time in days. But as Fajr approached, he found himself again in a dream. Not a nightmare, a field, a house, children laughing, Layla smiling, and standing under a tree, a woman. Not terrifying, not pale, not strange, just beautiful, calm, familiar. She looked at him with warmth and said, "I never meant to hurt you. I was protecting you. I saw your pain long before anyone else did. Stay here with us. This world will obey you. The pain, the failure, the struggle, gone." Yasin stared. "Are you real?" Her smile turned sad. "More real than your forgotten prayers, more real than your doubts. Just say the word. Just accept me, and all your dreams will stop being dreams." She reached out her hand. He felt his fingers moving on their own. Her eyes were so warm, so kind. "I seek refuge in Allah from Shaitan the outcast." He spat the words. Suddenly her face contorted, rage boiling across it like fire, her hands blackening, her eyes turning to smoke. And then she screamed, shattering the air, and he woke up. It's been 6 months. No dreams, no voices, no shadows in the hallway. The house feels light again. Yasin prays regularly. The Quran plays in the home like a heartbeat. Eli and the children laugh again. But sometimes, just sometimes, he'll hear a whisper in the wind, or feel someone watching when he's alone. And then he remembers what the Imam said. The Jinn remember those who see them, but they fear those who remember Allah more. The world of the Jinn is real, mysterious, hidden, but darkness has no power over you if your heart is filled with the light of Tawheed. Yasin's story is not rare. Many families live haunted lives, not by ghosts, but by pacts, sins and neglect, passed down silently. The solution? Knowledge, Tawbah, Ruqya, and a heart anchored in Quran. Because in the end, the Jinn don't fear your voice. They fear his words on your tongue. Yasin's story isn't just a warning. It's a wake-up call. The unseen is real. The Quran is our shield, and heedlessness can become an open door. Have you locked yours? If these stories awaken something in your heart like this video, share it with someone who needs to remember that protection isn't in superstition, it's in sincerity. Comment your thoughts and subscribe for more real Islamic stories that chill your soul and cleanse your heart, because these are not just stories, they are signs, reminders. May peace be upon you. They say, if you ignore the unseen, it won't ignore you. Yasin was a man who barely believed in Jinn, until he began speaking in languages he never learned. And his wife heard something whisper through his mouth, "You were not supposed to wake up." This is not a made-up tale. This is what happens when faith fades, and something else takes its place. Yasin was not the kind of man to believe in stories, not the Jinn stories whispered by the elders, not the black magic rumors circling village wells, not even the Quranic warnings. If he was honest with himself, he prayed, but it was mechanical. He believed, but it wasn't deep. And when people told him to say his adhkar before bed, he'd mumble half of it and sleep with his phone glowing beside his pillow. He thought he was safe until the night he started speaking in languages he never learned. The first sign was small. It was his wife, Ela, who noticed it. She said he mumbled in his sleep. She thought it was stress. He worked long hours, came home late, barely had time for the kids. But one night around 3:00 a.m. she woke up to the sound of recitation. Fluent, deep, resonant. She smiled at first, thought maybe Yasin was finally getting closer to Allah. Then she looked over and saw his lips moving in the dark. He was asleep, but his eyes were wide open. And the verses, they weren't from the Quran. It was Arabic, but twisted, old, offered them like someone mocking the Quran's tone without understanding its mercy. She touched his shoulder and whispered, "Yasin." He stopped, then slowly turned toward her, eyes still open, and said in a voice not his own, "You are not supposed to wake up." She screamed. He blinked, woke up confused. "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" You said something," she stammered. "You are looking at me with your eyes open." Yasin was disturbed, but not enough. He brushed it off as a dream, a stress response, maybe a panic attack. He told Ilah to relax, to sleep, to stop watching those YouTube videos on Ruqya and Jinn. "Not everything strange is a Jinn," he said. She stared at him quietly. The second sign was louder. He started waking up exhausted. Headaches, pressure behind the eyes. Night after night, he jolted up between 2:55 to 3:33 a.m., like something had booked that hour. Then came the whispers. Not from the walls, not from under the bed, from his own mouth. Ilah began recording it. At first he didn't believe her until she played it back. He listened to himself whispering phrases like, "I didn't open it. It opened itself. The agreement is older than this house. Don't tell her. She'll ruin everything." His skin crawled. He asked, "Where was I when I said this?" She said, "Sitting cross-legged, facing the corner of the room." One night, Ilah heard Yasin laughing, but not his usual laugh. It was too low, too drawn out, not joyful, just wrong. She crept to the doorway and peeked into their bedroom. Yasin was sitting on the edge of the bed alone, facing the wall, smiling, listening, as if something was whispering back. He didn't even notice she was there. But the next morning when she told him what she saw, he said, "I don't remember anything, but I feel like someone's been borrowing my mouth." Then came the smell. It wasn't the kind of smell you can describe. It wasn't sweat or rot or food. It was something dry, ancient, ashy, like burnt bones soaked in old water. It appeared only at night, always strongest near the closet, sometimes by the window, once chillingly right in the baby's crib. Yasin began to worry. He finally went to the masjid and asked the imam quietly, "Can stress cause hallucinations?" The imam looked at him carefully. "Are you seeing things?" Yasin hesitated. "I think I'm being visited." He explained to the imam. The imam came the next evening, not with incense, not with oils, just the Quran and a calm look on his face. "Nothing repels the shayateen like Quran," he told them. "Let's begin there." He sat in the living room. Allah brought water. Yasin stood awkwardly nearby, trying not to seem afraid. The imam began to recite. 30 minutes in, something changed. It wasn't dramatic. No voices, no levitation, no Hollywood madness. Just the house felt tight. The walls seemed closer. The light bulbs dimmed ever so slightly. A ticking sound started in the ceiling. Tick, tick, after tick. The imam stopped and looked at Yasin. "Is there an attic?" Yasin nodded. "And when was the last time you opened it?" "Never," Yasin admitted. "Not since we moved in 2 years ago." The imam stood. "Let's check it." The air grew colder. The moment they pulled the ladder down, Yasin followed behind the imam, flashlight trembling in his hand. The attic was just dust, old wood, spider webs at first. Then the imam stopped walking. "Shine your light there." In the far corner, just behind a low wooden beam, was a small crate. Not modern, not plastic, old, hand-carved, covered in wax. There were markings on the lid, Arabic letters, but not words. They looked like someone had taken verses and broken them apart to twist their meaning. Yasin felt a sharp pressure in his chest. "What is that?" he asked. The Imam didn't answer immediately. He stepped forward and began to recite, "Allahu Akbar." As the words rolled out, the crate began to vibrate softly at first, then harder. Yasin panicked. "Should we open it?" "No," the Imam said quickly. "Not here. Not with your family below." That night, the Imam took the box with him, promised he'd contact a local Ruqya expert. He told them firmly, "Pray and recite Surah Al-Baqarah in full. Do it tonight. I'll handle this." But Yasin couldn't sleep. Allah couldn't eat. The children cried randomly through the night. Every time they recited Quran, something clicked in the walls, like nails popping out of wood. 2 days later, the Imam returned. His face was pale. There were names inside the crate, he said. He hasn't blinked. Names? Yes, old ones written in seer scripts, knotted and buried in soil. Whoever lived here before used that box for a pact, Layla asked. With Jinn? He nodded slowly. But not just Jinn. The kind of pact where the person offers a place, a family line, sometimes even a soul. He placed a hand on Yasin's shoulder. "And your name was one of the newer ones." "What do you mean newer?" Yasin asked, heart racing. "Do you know who lived in this house before?" Yasin paused. "It was my uncle, my father's older brother. He passed away a few years ago. We inherited it." The Imam closed his eyes. "That explains it." "Explains what?" "Your uncle wasn't just eccentric. There are reports of people like him, men who dabbled in old rites, who thought they could control the unseen. He may have made a deal that was never undone, and now it's following the bloodline." Yasin was silent. Ela clutched her scarf tighter around her. "So this is generational." "Yes," the Imam said quietly, "but it can be broken." "How?" "By anchoring your home in the Quran daily, by purifying your life, and most importantly, by never speaking to them again, even if they come to you sweetly, even if they call you by name."